61% of all Americans think that abortion should be made illegal in most, if not all, circumstances, according to a Gallup poll which was published earlier today and which I will link in the information bar below. Now, I don't want to argue from a place of popular sovereignty, but I do want to dedicate a video to delineating the implications that the findings of this study have on the abortion debate. And first off, yeah, you can go ahead and bet your bottom dollar that pro-life advocates are going to be pointing at this study. But I don't think that this argument holds much water, because while yes, the study does clearly demonstrate that a sizable preponderance of the population is pro-life, and that America is overall a overwhelmingly anti-abortion nation, that is not grounds for banning the operation. The abortion issue is one which revolves around a central conflict of fundamental rights. The right to life and the right to personal sovereignty are the most obvious and most frequently cited, but there are actually other fundamental rights in question. And when we're dealing with these kinds of issues, simply appealing to a mere tyranny of the majority is inadequate. For example, let's say that we have a microcosm inside of which 99.9% of the population supports slavery. Does that mean that within that geographical location we should legalize the industry of slavery? Well, no, quite clearly we shouldn't, because that industry violates the rights of the servile. And just because you have a lot of people who support you doesn't mean that you are entitled to violate anybody else's rights, be it their right to personal sovereignty, their right to freedom, or their right to life. So the abortion issue in a sort of philosophical political sense hasn't really changed. But when we look at it pragmatically, the findings of this poll should be very encouraging for pro-lifers. First off, because the tides have kind of turned. Not that long ago, the nation was in fact very pro-choice, but now it's not. Now it wants abortion to be illegal in most circumstances, and that's definitely something that should motivate pro-lifers to start getting more and more active at this time. And other people may try to discourage you and say, well, the Supreme Court is the ultimate authority that we need to be looking to, and popular opinion doesn't matter. Well, they've got kind of a point, because in Marbury versus Madison, the United States Supreme Court did grant itself the power of constitutional interpretation and judicial review, which means that in a de jure sense, yeah, that's the ultimate authority that we do need to look to in determining whether or not the abortion operation will maintain its current legal status. But that's only in a de jure sense. In a de facto sense, if you look at the United States Supreme Court and the rulings that it has passed, you will find that they are frequently dictated by popular opinion. For example, Plessy versus Ferguson ruled that there was absolutely nothing wrong with segregating our public schools based on race under the doctrine of separate but equal. And Brown versus Board of Education ruled that, well, segregating public schools was unacceptable. So what changed between Plessy and Brown? Was it an amendment to the Constitution? Well, there were several of those between the two cases, but none of them were relevant to the issue of segregation. The only significant and relevant transformation in American society between the two rulings was that of popular opinion. During Plessy versus Ferguson, the nation wasn't ready for desegregation. The vast majority of its population supported segregating our schools based on race. But when Brown versus Board of Education had come around, the tides of that debate had changed, and America was ready to progress towards equality. So the Supreme Court ruled in accordance with popular opinion. Therefore, while in a de jure sense, the findings of this poll don't have any implications, and while in a philosophical political sense they probably shouldn't, in a pragmatic de facto sense, well, it looks like the pro-life side is making a lot of progress, and if you're pro-life, you should be encouraged by this.